I was recently at the Schoolypalooza meetup and came across a stunning van built by two young filmmakers. When I stepped inside, it was like I was inside a fairy tale cottage in the woods. There was even moss and leaves peeking through the sides of the wall like might be in a cottage. It was an amazingly well thought out build. Every inch was used, even the steps going up to the bed/dining area. Their creativity was evident throughout, but perhaps one of the most interesting aspects of the build was the fact that they used free pallet board that they stained for the build, and a very inexpensive material to build their beautiful cabinets. Well, hello, Nathan and Lexie. How are you doing?
You're doing wonderful.
Pretty dang good.
Yeah.
Is this your first time building out a van?
Yes.
First time building anything.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, which is partly why it took so long.
Well, you know what? Let's go inside and we'll get the story. So Nathan, Lexie was telling me that it took you 3 months for the design on this. Mm-hmm. Can you explain that?
Yeah, sure. So, this is an '06 Sprinter. I think it's the 140 wheelbase. So a very tiny van for two people. Yeah. And we wanted to make it as spacious as possible. But more than that, we just wanted it to be something we loved being in every inch of it, right? If you don't love a space that small, then you're going to want to get out pretty quick.
Right.
So and also we're just very intentional, I think, when it comes to our creations. We're both filmmakers by trade, so we're used to thinking through every detail beforehand. So we spent the first 3 months building out this exact design in SketchUp and basically figuring out before we, sawed one piece of wood, what sorts of compromises we might have to make in order to make sure we got what mattered most to us, and maybe even how to solve some of the compromises we really felt like we couldn't make.
Now, you were telling me that you were looking at blending aesthetics with function.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Well, again, in such a small space, we felt it was so important that everything had a function. Every little inch was being used to the best of its ability. At the same time, we're very aesthetic people. We're very affected by the space we're in, so it needed to be beautiful. So how do you make sure that making something beautiful doesn't mean you're actually sacrificing its functionality? And so that's like maybe the minimum viable goal, but the real ideal is how do you make something's beauty part of what makes it functional? And I'm sure there's quite a few examples of that, but I can point to my favorite, which I've described a little bit, which is this partition here. This was, in some sense, the first idea we had in the van. We call it the partition because we wanted to separate the back, which is our bed and dining room area, from the front. It really helps elongate the space. It also creates a sense of differentiation between the two spaces.
I see that over here, even though you have the same wood, it's a different color.
Yeah.
So that differentiates it.
Yeah.
And then when I'm looking here, it's all one long space. But as you're saying, because you have these different dividers here, you can tell it's like these are two different rooms of the same space.
Yeah, exactly.
And is that what you were aiming for?
Exactly. It creates, there's a kind of continuity between it all while creating this little bit of sense of separation, which almost psychologically makes the space feel a lot bigger than it is. And if I can point to one more kind of specific thing here, you can see you could imagine this is our closet too, so speaking of the functionality.
There's so many things, but I'd like you to just show each area and tell my viewers what you built this out of, because the wood in here was very reasonably sourced. So what is the wood in here?
So the vast majority of the wood on the walls and ceiling are pallet wood. This is wood that came from pallets at a mattress factory. The mattress store obviously can't use pallet wood that has chemicals in it, and when they break, they throw them out. So we source them from there, and when this was just a tin can, we'd load it up with like 15 pallets at a time.
So how much did your wood for your van cost?
The pallets cost nothing.
Oh my gosh.
And this was during COVID when plywood and basically all lumber went up 500%. So we were able to keep costs low, and at the same time, this aesthetic is much more, I think, it speaks to the sort of aesthetic we like.
As I said before, when you walk in here, I look over and it looks like, as I told you, I looked in here and I thought I was in a cabin in the woods, because you have throughout, not overdone, but little areas where, like in a cabin, you might have grass growing in or moss on the wood. And it's just little touches like that that just make it look so organic. And you were saying that you did, excuse me, you did this in part because the wood was imperfect.
Right.
But the imperfections you built on by the way that you painted it to bring out that character.
Yeah. And isn't the imperfection part of what makes it so beautiful to look at?
It is. Right? It is. Now, the wood that's framing the pass-through, what is that wood?
So the wood built making up a lot of the furniture is actually 2x2s from Home Depot, right? So the long beams. We did that, one, because those are a lot cheaper, two, because they're a lot lighter. So, of course, we had to stain them all to give them the kind of hardwood look.
Right.
But, you know.
So these are all 2x2s?
Yep, all 2x2s. These, you know, we're cutting them into sections and kind of piecing them together. But the furniture itself, you can see every single piece of the furniture, just 2x2s nailed together.
So this over here, these are 2x2s?
These are 2x2s, but cut down to like a 1/4 inch.
So all of these cabinets here are 2x2s that you stained.
Yep, so on the back is actually utility paneling. Here I can show you. This is our like a toiletries closet. But this is just utility paneling or plywood.
Okay.
And then you can see here, this is a 2x2 cut in half to create that frame.
Okay.
And then inside it's a 2x2 cut down to a 1/4 to kind of create that indentation.
Now what about the door? Because your doors, each of your sliding door and your back doors, what kind of wood is that?
So this is another plywood that I think it's called corrugated plywood. It comes with this design. This we got because it was just thinner, and we needed to keep it thin in order for it to fit on the floor.
And to be light.
Yeah, and to be light. And then we stained it to try to match the rest of the van.
Now, obviously someone in here is a cook, because you can tell that this van was made with cooking in mind. So who's the cook in here?
I love to cook.
Okay.
It is a great passion of mine. I'm not great at it, but I do it all the time.
He's good at it.
So now what kind of stove is this?
This is the Greystone 3-burner oven. And I forget what the measurement is called, how hot it gets, but this has served us perfectly. And of course,
I'm presuming, tell me if I'm correct, that this is powered by propane?
That's right. And the propane is actually under here in a plywood and sealed box.
Now, speaking of here, what is this countertop on both sides made from?
This is butcher block that we sourced from what is it called again? Hoods. In the section where if it had any imperfections, they were selling it at discount. We didn't need it to be perfect, obviously.
Right.
So we took the butcher block and just cut it to fit the dimensions of our You were
very, very budget conscious in this build.
Absolutely, we had to be. We're not rolling, as filmmakers, we're not rolling in the dough. And so how do you make a space as beautiful as it can be and try to not make compromises while also saving the bank?
Now, I'm looking here, and up above here and down below, now you've got burlap as the door inserts.
These are old coffee bags.
Oh my goodness. And then you've got this. Now, is this just from that? Or this looks like twine of some sort.
Yeah, this was actually prefabricated at like a Hobby Lobby. But, you know, it matched the aesthetic, so that's the one we went with. And same thing with the hinges, you know, all brass hinges and screws. You can see all those screws are darker, and like we avoided the silver, everything to try to create that cohesion.
Now, what is the van powered with back here? Do you have batteries or solar?
We do. We have 340 watts of solar turned perpendicular to the van, so we could fit both of them, plus the fan, plus the skylight. That runs to a 200 amp hour lithium ion battery, and that powers everything. We have DC powering most of the van, but we have AC that powers our fridge and also all of these outlets.
So that's not a lot of power, but you find that that's sufficient?
It's sufficient for our needs, other than when we are working full-time in the van. If it's overcast, we can't be on our laptops all day, because the laptops are the hungriest item we have, so we'll go to coffee shops instead.
Now let's look over here. You've got this is just a tub.
Yeah,
that
this
you've
is a
got.
washpan.
Oh my goodness.
It's a washpan. We went with the floating sink, although we knew that that was actually not ideal for doing dishes and the comfort there. We actually, talk about compromises. We wanted 30 gallons of water, which is right here.
That's a lot of water. And your water is inside rather than the outside.
So we avoid freezing. We were really trying to make this van as small as it is, something that could be off grid for a good bit of time, right?
Yes.
So we decided to go with the floating wash pan. It's a bar top epoxy inside. We found out a little too late that it's not heat resistant, so the boiling water lifted it. We'll have to replace that at some point.
Now what about this here? What is this just?
This is our tap water essentially. So this is not quite as filtered. The water's potable, but this one runs through a filter so that we can kind of differentiate it.
And how do you... Oh, I see down here. So is this a foot pump?
It is. It's actually not on at the moment, but this foot pump controls the tap because the tap allows a lot more water to come out.
Okay.
And of course, as everybody in a van knows, you have to be very water conscious.
Yes.
The foot tap gives us both hands free while being very controlled.
I would love it if you would show my viewers your trash can.
Sure.
And how you have that and why you did it that way.
Sure. So this is the trash can. It doesn't look like much because there's no handle here.
Again, 2x2s.
Do 2x2s.
Okay.
But it slides out like this, and there it is. It's actually quite deep. This was part of the value of doing this all in SketchUp first. One of the things we measured were all of our appliances. So we knew how we could fit them and arrange them behind this trash can, and what dimension the trash can had to be to maximize its how big it could be. It actually gets stopped by these pegs here. There's a little hole we drilled into the 2x2. So whenever we need to take the trash bag out, or if we need to access the plumbing, we pull that peg out, and now this comes all the way out like this.
And so your plumbing is all behind that.
It's all behind it, that's right.
Oh my goodness. So it sounds like every single detail was thought out and put on paper or on computer before you actually started your build.
That's absolutely true. And then as we were building, if ever we ran into some sort of complication, we'd never rush through it. I would sit here for hours if I needed to, just thinking through what our options were, so that at the end of the day, it was as functional and as lovely as it could be.
And this, can you show my viewers the cabinets? Open the cabinets.
These here or these
Both
here?
of them, maybe.
Yeah, so this is our toiletries cabinet, all of our bathroom stuff, medicines. And this is our closet space. So again, no handles, which was one of the aesthetics we kind of liked. But, that's just plenty of space in there.
So you have, for a size van that you have, which is only the 140 wheelbase, you have an amazing amount of storage. And I'm going to go back and look in the back because you have more storage in the back. You have storage over there. Show my viewers your pantry and how it pulls out and how you're able to have additional space there.
I would say it's one of the best examples of the beauty meets function. Of course, we love how this looks, matches the rest of the space. I love that, I'm sorry I'm talking more than I probably need to here, but I love that it actually blocks this area off. It kind of creates this connectedness here.
Right.
However, it contains more food because we wanted to be off grid and we cook all the time. It's also a seating area because we have this cushion on top. And the best part is if the bed or office area, if it's occupied or if we just want to have a little space, this countertop here can flip up, which I can show you. Like this. And then all we have to do is pull this out. And now we have a second working area with plenty of counter space here. And
but also when you're cooking, you've got this area here that can be over there. You have that over there. So all around you are countertops that you have plenty of space to.
And even more here if we need it. This is a cutting board.
Cutting board. Oh my goodness.
And our fridge is actually a chest freezer. So it's a little bit more power efficient, better insulated, a lot more space. It slides out and we access it from the top, which creates another surface. So if we need it, we have 360 counter space.
So all the way around.
There's more counter space in here than our last apartment.
Did anything in here happen by accident?
That's a good question.
Maybe the magnets.
The magnets, yeah. So you can see we have things hanging here on the wall. That was not by, we didn't intentionally think through this, but because these the pallet wood is just screwed into the utility paneling, we realized we have something we can hang our magnets on. So now, anywhere in the van we have, light things, but we have our hats here, some, You know, whenever we have to hang towels, sometimes we'll do that. That was an accident, and we use it all the time. So.
And I'm looking through, so you obviously wanted to pass through there.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think for safety, that's really...
That was the main thing.
Yeah,
And to have a little bit more light. Because right now we don't have a window in the side door, so just any amount of light we could get here was great.
Right.
And you can see we actually found this perfect curtain divider. It's white pallet wood with herbs on it. Can you believe that?
I mean, everything in here, as we were talking, I was commenting on how everything just goes with everything else to add to the aesthetic. I'm going to go around back and look at your bed / dining room area, and you're going to explain that to me if you will. We're back outside, so we've got a bit of wind noise, but you know what, you got to go with what you have. But I really wanted to show this sunroof. Now, what made you do the sunroof? Was it because the dark colors and you wanted light back here?
It was natural light. We wanted as much natural light as we could get, and this just felt like the right way to do it. We love overhead lighting as well.
Lexie, can you open that a little again? That's not a typical, dome kind of. It's even got the wood around it.
Yeah, we fabricated ourselves. In fact,
my goodness.
and this was a silly thing to do, it was the first thing we built, meaning we were learning how to use our power tools and how to, do any sort of woodworking with the thing that was most prone to water leaking. So we've paid our dues on that quite some time, but it's still been worth it, absolutely.
Now show us the back. Again, I keep saying this, but you got the 2x2s here. Yep. Can you show how that pulls out? Sure
thing. So this is our rope handle, you pull it on out. And this was one of the occasions where we did use plywood. It just made more sense than to try to fabricate something. So this is our garage.
On what are the 500-pound slides or?
Yeah.
Okay.
These big sliders here.
And that gives you loads more storage.
How far can we pull this out? Yeah, about this far.
You were telling me that you and Lexie use this in dining room form every day.
Basically every day, either because we're working, and so that often means 2 laptops, multiple hard drives, we just need the space, or because we're eating or reading or writing, we love to host. And that's something obviously we can do in an apartment. Big priority for us is how can we do that in the van?
Right.
So you saw this morning.
I saw.
We were hosting 4 friends in here, and that's really special to us.
So what made you decide to go with this instead of a lagoon table?
Mostly we wanted something very sturdy.
Okay.
We like the lagoon tables. They're easy to move around, but often in the videos we were watching when we were deciding what we wanted, just felt a little too flimsy almost, right? You see it moving.
Not sturdy enough.
Not sturdy enough, and this is almost 4 feet long. Like I said, we wanted to be able to host multiple people, so we needed something that was going to be able to hold that. And in our mind, flipping these and pushing this down was more convenient than having to disassemble, because this is also the center of our bed.
Right.
I would also mention that because we work out of the van often, it's great if I'm in the kitchen cooking, Lexie has this whole space to be, have multiple laptops. Yeah, again, like it was almost a necessity for us.
Now, on your mattress, how thick is this? 6-inch?
This is 6-inch.
Okay.
We've learned since we've been in the van for almost 2 years that after a time, because it's cut, these edges will begin to degrade to kind of become flimsier, and then we'll have to replace the mattress. But it works really well for us in the meantime. We cut it so that it's a little bit longer than the space it's in. That compresses those seams together and keeps it pretty solid.
Before we leave, you wanted to share about a documentary that you're sending around to festivals. What's the name of it?
It's called No Companion Left Behind. It is a 25-minute documentary about Emancipet, which is the nation's first nonprofit veterinary clinic. They're trying to address not only the rising cost of veterinary care in the United States and servicing the many, many millions of people and pets who are being excluded from market sector care, but also the stigma that those people often face about whether or not they should have pets. So we've made a documentary. That's what we do for a living. We run a production company called Notable Human Films.
Now, how can people find this?
2 different ways. One, if you're on YouTube, you can just search up No Companion Left Behind, Emancipet, and it's the 25-minute film. It's on their channel. You should absolutely check it out and support them. They are changing the world. Okay. You can also find it on our website, which is notablehumanfilms.com.
So Notable Human Films, and the name again of the...
is No Companion Left Behind.
And you're going to show Lexie something else that is just I've never seen this, and I don't think I'll ever see it again. But can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so in between all of this section of this room, in between all of the spaces of the boards are passages from Walden by Henry David Thoreau. And they're not just random passages. We bought this older book and went through every single page and read passages that we really liked. And if they meant something to us, we put them in the cracks. And this was born out of a necessity to kind of cover up the empty gaps, these empty spaces in between these boards, because they are very imperfect. And we wanted to fill that space. And so for the kitchen area, we decided to use moss.
Right.
But for this area, to help distinguish it further, Nathan was like, what if it was pages from a book? And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. He's like, oh, Walden.
Well, why don't we close it out with you reading us and telling us what that says?
This one, yes, this one is wonderful. It says, when he was with food and sleep, he contemplated his journey again. He dwelt, as it were, in a tent in this world, and was either threading the valleys, or crossing the plains, or climbing the mountaintops.
Oh my goodness.
So they're all like that. All of these passages mean something to us.
So that really sums up the sum total of this van. Everything is intentional, thought out, and beautiful. And thank you so much. And my last question is,
Yeah.
when are you guys going to start a YouTube channel? I've been bugging them about this since we met.
Let the viewers decide. Let them have a vote. Should we
Okay,
have a YouTube?
everyone watching this video, I want you to comment and let me know, should they start a YouTube channel?
And what do you want to see? What do you want to see? We can dance for you. We can read books to you.
I bet they want to see you do another van build that they can watch.
Oh yeah, we've talked about what comes next, and it's either a schoolie or a tiny house. So we'll see.
Okay, well, I've already been talking to Nathan about maybe helping me with some designs.
Ooh.
So, all right, viewers, it's up to you whether they start a YouTube channel or not. Let us know. All right, catch you down the road.